Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments, such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org. Idaho Matters is taking a deep dive into the loss of farmland here in the Gem State. Are you a farmer? What challenges do you face as farmland shrinks in Idaho? We want to hear your story. Email us at idahomatters@boisestate.edu or leave us a voicemail using the Talk to Us feature in the Boise State Public Radio app. And then listen to our series on farming called Land and Legacy. Episodes available on Monday afternoons in the Idaho Matters podcast feed. From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. How do you bring neighbors together, share ideas, build connections, fight homelessness, create vibrant, inclusive neighborhoods, empower residents, spark change at the community level, and make a positive impact where you live? Turns out the city of Boise has a way to do all of that. It's called the Boise Neighborhood Interactive, and it's a way for neighbors to get involved in their communities in a positive way. This year's Interactive is coming up on October 23rd, and we wanted to find out what happens at these events and if they're actually having an impact in the city of Boise. So joining us now are Eric Hagan, the president of the North End Neighborhood Association, Jason Sears, founder of Village Co., architect Byron Falwell, and interactive program manager Nicole Carr. I want to welcome all of you to the program today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gemma. Thanks for having us.
Good to have all of you here. Nicole, let me start the conversation with you. Can you tell us what the Boise Neighborhood Interactive is and what happens there?
Yeah, Gemma, basically it's a big neighborhood gathering, but on a citywide scale. Through the Energized program at the city, we empower neighborhoods through tools like grants and this annual conference. And it's just a really great way to bring neighbors together, partnering with city staff, other community organizations, all in one space to share ideas and learn from each other.
And Nicole, tell us a little bit about the history of the Interactive. Like, how did it start?
Yeah, it started back in 2017 was the first Interactive we hosted. We held it at a couple of different types of venues at a local high school with breakout sessions in classrooms. The last few years, we've held it at Jump in downtown. And this year we'll be at the Idaho State Museum. This is our 6th time hosting this conference.
Eric, as I mentioned, you're the president of the North End Neighborhood Association in Boise. How does the Interactive help your neighborhood?
Great question, Gemma. Our neighborhood is actually doing pretty good as the leading neighborhood in Boise. We have a lot of programs already, but it's always a good idea to try to find out better ways or more ways on how we can engage our community. Even with a neighborhood of 10,000 occupants, we only have about 20 or 30 people engaged at any given moment in time for our meetings and events. So going to the interactive always gives us new paths forward and new ideas on how to connect to the neighborhood, as well as addressing some of the hot topics that are going on in the neighborhood, such as housing and affordability.
So Eric, I know you've been coming to these events for quite a few years now. What is it that continues to draw you back to it?
I'm a big proponent for pedestrianism, biking, alternative modes of transportation, and there's always a discussion panel on that or a workshop on that. And then also addressing housing. Housing is just a huge issue in Treasure Valley and in Boise in particular, providing affordable housing for people and accessible housing. And the North End's not immune to that, even though we have established housing. There's the cost of living is constantly going up and the cost of housing is constantly going up. So we're always looking for ways to provide the housing for the general public in the areas that they live and work, or that they work so they can live nearby as well.
And Jason, how many of these interactives have you been involved with?
I'm sad that I only found out about it last year. So this year's my second, last year was my first, and it was really exciting to discover.
And so Jason, you actually gave a presentation last year. So your first time there, you give a presentation. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how people reacted to your presentation?
Yeah, the vibe was just great. I loved the energy. There's something about coming together with a bunch of folks who care about their neighborhoods that just really resonated. So I had such a great time. We did a little presentation on our local community building project, and I got a ton of feedback, lots of folks interested. Mostly, I learned about a lot of other things that are already happening in the neighborhood and made some great connections.
And Byron, let me bring you into the conversation. How long have you been coming to the interactive? And I'm curious about what got you involved.
Yeah, Gemma, I think I've been at every year, at least every year that I was aware of, back to 2017. And I've also presented, I think, 3 times in the past. And, each time I'll just echo what Jason and Eric have already said, which is it's great, even, leading a discussion or being a part as an attendee. It's a great opportunity to come together and kind of talk about housing and transportation and walkability and all of those other things. As an architect, I have many special interests, and one of those is missing middle housing, which, like duplexes, triplexes, and cottage courts and things like that. And so being able to teach a class on that topic was really exciting too.
And Byron, do you see people, getting excited about where they live in their communities when they come to the interactives?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The people that sign up for workshops and classes, certainly the excitement builds. If you're on a bike tour or a walking tour, which the Boise Neighborhood Interactive is really great about mixing up kind of lecture style and interactive workshops with walking tours and biking tours and that sort of thing. Like Jason said, the energy is just really great because the people that are showing up are the folks that are really interested in what's going on in their neighborhoods and looking at ways to work together to make our city a better place.
Nicole, can we talk a little bit about this year's event? And can you tell us what is an out about?
Yeah, that's one of the sessions I'm most looking forward to. We try to tailor our sessions and our topics for our workshops different each year. Every neighborhood in Boise is different. Some are dealing with growth, some traffic, others just want ways to connect. And so one of the themes we saw this year with the presenter proposals that we had come through was a connection, and people want to know who their neighbors are. And this session on outabouts is based off of one evening a month where neighbors step outside to connect. So it's the first Sunday of the month at the same time each month. And it's such a simple idea, but can totally transform how a neighborhood feels. And it's got this concept, almost like Halloween, that's coming up, where on October 31st, we all know what to do, right? We know to get in our costumes, we go door to door and we say trick or treat and ask for candy. And that's just a tradition that nobody has to organize. And so that's the idea of an outabout, is that no one has to organize it. It's just something we do Sunday in the evening, is go outside and talk with our neighbors.
And Nicole, one of your workshop is also designed to shape public spaces as well as neighborhood life. So can you talk to us about what a yard web is and what other tools you're going to be teaching to try and transform communities?
Yeah, we're just looking for creative ways to get people out and connected to their neighbors. I'm going to learn what a yard web is at the session, right along with everybody else at the Neighborhood Interactive next week. But talking about like third spaces and just neighborhood connectivity, one of the highlights is our keynote speakers, who are local business owners of the Common Ground Coffee and Market in the West Bench. And they're going to share their story of how they've created a third place in their neighborhood with programming aimed right at their local residents, to get people connected and meeting one another. We've got guided bike tour. The Boise Nice Project will be there. So there'll be lots of opportunities to get out of the building and into the city and immerse attendees.
And Nicole, how important is that to really get, because listen, going to a conference, you have to sit all day long inside a building cannot feel great. So how important is it to actually get out into these neighborhoods?
We're capitalizing on the interactive piece of this conference. The whole point is to give people tools and inspiration to make their neighborhood stronger, and giving them those tools and putting them into action on the day of the conference is vital. So we're leading a bike tour. Maybe that's something that a neighborhood leader can do the very next day after the conference is over in their neighborhood, they can organize a guided bike tour through their neighborhood and highlight cultural sites, public art, and just look for creative ways, because it is vital for the sustainability of our neighborhood, getting to know the folks next door.
So, Nicole, what does the city hope will come of these events? I mean, what's your purpose with the interactives?
If you come to the interactive, our hope is that you'll leave with at least one new idea, one new connection. Make a friend while you're there. You'll have name tags. You'll have a spot where you can write in which neighborhood you live in Boise, finding that commonality. And even if you can't make it, I think the biggest message is that small actions like hosting a block party get together, speaking up at a city meeting, and getting involved in civic engagement really does help shape our city and our community.
And Nicole, you're hoping to really spark some change this year with a certain panel discussion. And this is with leaders with lived experience of homelessness. What will folks learn from this workshop, and what do you hope the takeaway is?
Yeah, that session highlights leadership of community members who have that firsthand experience of homelessness. And it's through their perspective that they understand the system in a way that not many people can, because they've navigated it. And so this panel highlights how they're using their voices to influence how we here in Ada County respond to homelessness and address housing needs. And I think it just gives that human side of sharing that story of people who have that experience.
Eric, how do you think the interactives are working, and what kind of impact are you seeing on the city?
Well, there's, the different topics are definitely apropos. Last year there was one on youth well-being, and it came on the heels of a couple of tragedies that happened in the north end of some junior high school students that killed themselves. And it was great to be able to have that as we're looking for ways to connect with the youth community and to find ways on how to address their well-being. And so that one was really beneficial and apropos at the time. The one that Nicole was just talking about, the homelessness one, even in the north end, we have people that are living in their cars. And so that would be something that's one that I've signed up for and I want to go to, because I want to know, how can we address that? How can we provide better housing solutions for these people so they're not living in their cars in the neighborhoods?
Byron, you're an architect, and I know you lead neighborhood tours. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of the goal of these tours?
Sure. Yeah. I think the one of my main goals for the neighborhood tours that I've done in the past really has just been to really honestly destigmatize multifamily housing. So duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and other small apartment developments that are in our established neighborhoods. My tours that I led with Boise Young Professionals and others really were to help folks understand that these housing types belong in our neighborhoods. We made them very difficult to build, during the middle part of the 20th century, but they're really necessary and very livable housing types, and incredibly useful as we address kind of the affordability issues that cities across the country have faced. And so, finding ways to reinvite these housing types back into our neighborhoods, finding ways to create new housing opportunities for people was one of the main goals. And, that, and just really just taking a deeper look at our established neighborhoods around town and noticing the variation and diversity of housing that we already have, and really hoping to strive for more in the future.
And Byron, when people attend these interactives and you do talk about these things, in particular, housing, but also, as you said, the need for different types of housing, right? And we need those in our neighborhoods. When people go to these interactives, do you see their, mind being shifted a bit, or at least maybe being opened to the necessity and the need for different housing types, not just, a standalone home?
Yeah, that's a great question. Generally, yes. I think when people understand that, the neighborhood that they live in, has a fourplex that they just never noticed before. They never counted the mailboxes or the number of front doors in this particular unit. The light does go off for them. I think I always lead with what I consider to be the most adorable housing type of all time, which is the cottage court. That usually does sell people on the idea that
Mhm.
a diversity of housing types doesn't need to be scary, even though it was something that was difficult to build just a few years ago. These housing types are useful for the diverse population that we have here, and folks who are younger and folks who are older always need places to move up and down into from a single family home or an apartment.
Mm. Jason, you're the founder of Village Co. Can you tell folks what this is and how it plays into the Neighbor Interactive?
We believe very strongly in local connections. There's been a lot of research. Robert Putnam published several books on this topic of social connections and how the strength of our democracy actually depends heavily on the ties that we have locally. So our project is about building stronger connections within neighborhoods and creating club-like structures that get neighbors together on a social basis on a regular basis. So the neighborhood interactive is such a great opportunity because honestly, it's not easy meeting your neighbors. Like not everybody is up for it. Sometimes it can feel a little awkward. We need places to go that are comfortable, that are safe, where we can meet others. And so I just really encourage everyone listening to come to this interactive. It will be worth your time, and it's just a great opportunity to meet people and feel better about the place you live.
So, Nicole, who can come to the Interactive?
This interactive is free and open to all Boiseans, and we've even had attendees from other cities that get ideas from the conference and take them back to their own neighborhoods and their own cities. It's the registration is we do ask that folks reserve their spot. Registration closes this Friday, so if you go to the city's website, cityofboise.org/BNI for Boise Neighborhood Interactive, you can reserve your spot there. And we'd love to see you. I know some of these topics are kind of heavy when we start talking about housing, homelessness, transportation. But we've got a really great mix of workshops where people can get creative and fun ideas to take home and put into place.
Mm-hmm. Nicole, talking about transportation, one of your workshops is it's going to be a journey through urban and natural spaces with your Boise by Bike workshop. Is that I'm going to assume this is more than just a bicycle ride.
It is Boise by Bike. That session is hosted by the Boise Cycling Guide, which is a tool for people who live in Boise, people who are visiting Boise to find out how they can move about the city on a bike, working with local businesses and organizations for a couple of discounts. That's a really great resource to have. And so this session will explore new pathways, bike lanes, cultural landmarks. One of the stops is one of our city's newest parks, the Kaisho Corner. And so we'll be working with our arts and history department during that bike tour to really highlight what's going on in our downtown area.
And Nicole, is the interactive a way to get neighbors, I mean, of course, involved, but what about the idea of becoming leaders in their community? I mean, like Eric, who is the president of the North End Neighborhood Association.
Yeah, Jason mentioned Robert Putnam's work, which I'm a fan of, and I really hope that there's an uptick in our civic engagement. We have seen a decline here in Boise, and that's something that is seen across our country. And so the Neighborhood Interactive is really a way to get people excited about this work and connect the people who are already doing it, who may feel siloed, that they're the only ones doing the work, and bring those folks together. And so it's through this interactive that we provide this opportunity.
Eric, what would you say to people about coming to this interactive? Like, why should they attend?
Well, as has been mentioned a couple times by Nicole and Byron and Jason, is this is open to everyone, and we've had people on our board. I always encourage our entire board to go, and there's also been neighbors, people that don't even come to our neighborhood meetings that I've seen at these meetings, and they come because of the topics and because of the diversity of workshops. I'm always excited about the bike tour, and as are many other people. So if you're looking for ways to get involved in your community, and you might be a little bit afraid to kind of like stand up, don't be afraid by the word workshop, because you can just kind of hang out in the back and glean information off of everyone else. But it's a great opportunity to get out and meet other leaders in the neighborhood, in the community, and to learn about ways that you can help each other out. I've met other neighborhood leaders and conversed with them on how to put together programs for the neighborhood. And I'm really excited about the monthly traditions and hearing what other people are doing. So it's a great opportunity for all that.
Well, I want to thank all of you for taking time today to talk with us more in depth about this. We've been speaking with Eric Hagan, the president of the North End Neighborhood Association in Boise, Jason Sears, founder of Village Co., architect Byron Falwell, and Nicole Carr, the City of Boise program manager of the Boise Neighborhood Interactive, which is coming up on October 23rd. It will be at the Idaho State Museum in Boise. There is still time to register. And remember, you don't have to live in Boise to attend. It is open to everyone to get ideas about their own neighborhoods. We're going to put a link on our website as well, boisestatepublicradio.org. I'm Gemma Gaudette, and this is Idaho Matters.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.